Radio's greatest hits.
The best music.
Airchecks.com.
WABC.
2955-9988. Jim with a good word about New York. Respect. Carly Simon LP, Boys in the Trees, furnished by Elektra Records. Gonna be your 7th caller. WABC game. Gonna make you a winner tonight. Farter at 77 WABC. Rain on and off through Thursday night. A little cooler with a low overnight in the mid to upper 60s. Partly cloudy. 72 right now in New York.
Bob Cruz, WABC.
Music Radio 77 WABC. We are congratulating Peggy Stevens of Brooktown, New Jersey. Peggy did the good word about New York today. Respect. And just picked herself up the Carly Simon LP Boys in the Trees. And you keep it right here because we've got more chance for you to win. Coming up soon on Music Radio 77 WABC. Got to talk it over? Oh, that's good. Billy Paul, 77 WABC. Our music time is 1:37 on Wednesday night in New York City. It's partly cloudy, 72 WABC degrees.
So you thought you'd heard everything, huh? Then you haven't heard Hugh Carey's commercials. They claim he's reduced your taxes. Does anybody believe that? One of the first things Hugh Carey did when he became governor was to raise taxes by over $600 million. And have you heard the one where they say Carey has cut state spending? The truth is, state spending's up almost $3 billion since Carey was elected. And then there's the Carey commercial that claims the crime situation is better. This from the same Hugh Carey who vetoes capital punishment and promises to commute the sentence of any murderer sentenced to death. Terry Duryea says that's wrong.
No amount of advertising should be allowed to cover up the tragic failures of the Carey years. Taxes are up, spending is up, crime is up, and jobs are leaving New York. That is the reality. It's time for a complete change of leadership in our state government. Bruce Caputo and I, working together, can provide that leadership. I hope we can count on your help.
Paid by the Duryea for Governor Committee.
My son, Brett, was 3.5 when an accident nearly blinded him, but Brett was lucky. His sight was saved with a cornea provided free of charge by the Eye Bank for sight restoration. Seeing my boy see again is like a miracle.
Be part of a miracle. Call the Eye Bank for Sight Restoration at 212-371-2242 for information. That number again is 212-371-2242.
WABC.
Andy Gibb got to number 13, tuned at 77 WABC. Taking a look at the weatherman, say it's going to rain on and on through Thursday night. That's the picture. Cool with a low overnight in the mid to upper 60s. Tomorrow afternoon's high expected to be in the mid 70s. Partly cloudy Friday with a high in the mid to upper 70s. Partly cloudy currently in New York, 72 WABC degrees.
Jack. Bob Cruz, WABC.
77 WABC. Our music time is 1:50. Wednesday night in New York with Bob Cruz. Yanks over the Orioles 5-4. Mets clobber the Giants 10-4.
All this year, Pontiac's been saying it's our best year yet. And you know, it's true. The 78 Pontiac sales have set a record. Now it's time to clean up and clear out the 78s and make room for the new models. This is literally the best time all year to get a fabulous buy on a new 78 Pontiac. Selection is still pretty good, and your Pontiac dealer also has some incredible buys on 78 demonstrators. If you're looking for the deal of the year, get over to your Pontiac dealers and check out the 78s. And hey, the 79s are rolling right now, so you can pick out your 1979 Pontiac for early delivery. 78 or 79, you can't lose at your Pontiac dealers.
Go see the guys, go see the boys, go where the hot ones are. If you haven't talked to a Pontiac dealer, you haven't shopped for a car.
See a New York, New Jersey Pontiac dealer today.
If you're looking for a head start on a career, look into a part-time career in the Army Reserve. Based on the needs of your local unit, you can pick your own specialty. After a few months of full-time Army training in the field you selected, you'll be back home with a valuable skill.
We're right here, America, in today's Army Reserve. We're part of what you earn is
Call
pride.
800-431-1234, toll free. In New York, call 800-243-6370. Paid for by the Army Reserve.
WABC.
What could be the biggest money scandal in federal government history has been discovered. I'm Naomi Pringle, WABC News. Federal investigators have been looking into the way the General Services Administration has been spending money. The results, the American taxpayer is being ripped off royally. GSA Administrator Ray Solomon says he expects about 50 people, both civil servants and private contractors, to be indicted on bribery charges involving some $66 million in fraud. Despite hints of optimism, 7 hours of talks aimed at settling the newspaper strike, now into its fourth week, recessed last night with little progress reported. Federal mediator says talks will resume at 11 a.m. This time both sides will continue discussing a publisher's proposal and the striking pressman's counterproposal. Truancy has always been a problem in New York schools. Just how big a problem is being investigated this week in a series of hearings by the House Select Committee on Narcotics Abuse and Control. We're told some 100,000 junior and senior high school students regularly skip school, and to make matters worse, of that number, 70% are on some sort of drugs. More from WABC's Kathleen Maloney.
All of the witnesses have alarming stories to tell about drug abuse in our schools. The State Division of Substance Abuse Services released a new survey. The findings that marijuana is the most popular drug. 50% of New York City students between 12 and 18 have used it. Next comes PCP, or angel dust. It is much more dangerous than pot and can be deadly. Chronic absenteeism is also linked to heavy drug use, yet the school system tries to downplay that problem. As the city's Special Narcotics Prosecutor Sterling Johnson told the committee, the schools are as critical a market for dealers in drugs as they are for sellers of blue jeans, cosmetics, and sports equipment. From Federal Plaza, I'm Kathleen Maloney, WABC News.
The new school year got off to a shaky start in New Orleans yesterday. Teachers went on strike and set up picket lines around classrooms crowded with students returning from summer vacations. A jury in Bowling Green, Kentucky took less than 1 hour yesterday to acquit Marla Pitchford on trial for performing an abortion on herself with a knitting needle. Jury found Miss Pitchford not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. We asked correspondent Royal Kennedy about the decision.
The jurors did not necessarily believe that the state presented a weak case. It seemed to be their feeling that the law had been unfairly applied in this instance. One of the jurors was a young girl herself, and she mentioned that a lot of girls she knew, a lot of girls that age, might be in the same position, and she could see herself in the same position.
New York Times reporter Myron Farber is a free man. Yesterday, the New Jersey Supreme Court ordered Farber released from jail pending an appeal. Farber had been behind bars for nearly a month. This for refusing to turn over his notes on the so-called Dr. X trial going on right now in Hackensack, New Jersey. Asked what his plans are, Farber told reporters,
I intend to give the greatest consideration to any order that would come from the Supreme Court of New Jersey.
Can you tell us what your jail experience was like, Mr. Farber?
Well, you can take a look at pallor of my skin and you can judge from that. I'm going to the beach.
The tax revolt by California residents gained new heights yesterday when a cut of $1 billion in income taxes was signed into law, and rents in Los Angeles were ordered rolled back and frozen. Details from correspondent Tom Schell.
Governor Jerry Brown has signed a major tax cut bill into law that reduces California income taxes by $75 per person next year, and also restructures the tax brackets to protect cost of living increases. The tax cut was unanimously approved in both houses of the California legislature as the lawmakers responded to the pressures expressed when the voters approved Proposition 13. The tax cut measure will cost the state of California an estimated $1 billion, which will be paid out of the continuing state surplus. The law also has specific tax breaks for the elderly and provides a rent credit for welfare recipients. Tom Schell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And finally, government sources say Australia has turned down a request by former President Richard Nixon to visit that country next month and meet with Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser. Sources say the Australian embassy in Washington told Nixon the visit would be inopportune because of a very heavy program of official visits from other overseas dignitaries. But the only visitor mentioned was Britain's Princess Alexandra, cousin of Queen Elizabeth. WABC News Time, 1:59.
This is Reggie Jackson. You know, at times in the past I've been considered controversial, and at times that's probably right. But I'm here today to talk about something all New Yorkers can agree on. I just hate it when people dump on New York. But you know what I can't understand? We New Yorkers are dumping on ourselves. I mean, why can't we sweep our own sidewalks, put our trash in plastic bags, and close our garbage cans tight? It's easy to remember. Sweep it, bag it, can it. If you're a New Yorker, don't dump on New York.
Sponsored by I Love a Clean New York Incorporated.
On the WABC scoreboard, the Yankees edged the Orioles 5-4. The Mets outslugged the Giants 10-4. Here's a WABC weather report. Rain on and off through Thursday night. Cooler with a low overnight in the mid to upper 60s. Daytime high in the low to mid 70s. I'm Naomi Pringle. Right now it's 72 degrees in New York.
Thank you, Naomi. This is 77 WABC in New York. You made it the most listened to station in the nation. Jerry Rafferty and Baker Street Sound at WABC. A couple minutes past 2 o'clock. Partly cloudy and 72 in the Apple.
The best music, WABC.